At 2:11 local time, somewhere over the Philippine Sea, a radar operator aboard a modern enemy destroyer watches his combat screen suddenly populate with contacts. One contact appears low across the ocean surface, moving at nearly 900 kilometers per hour. Another appears at high altitude, descending fast from above Mach 3. Then sonar reports possible underwater activity beneath the fleet itself. Seconds later, electronic warfare officers detect radar emissions from a small island nearly 180 kilometers away. 4 threats, 4 directions, 4 completely different physics problems. And the terrifying part is this: the American force that launched them may still be hundreds of kilometers outside retaliation range. This is the real reason the United States can sink virtually any warship on Earth, not because America built one unstoppable missile, but because it built a battlefield where warships are attacked from every environment at the same time until the defense system physically cannot keep up anymore. And once that overload begins, modern naval warfare stops looking like a duel between ships. It starts looking like a collapsing computer system drowning in too many problems at once. Because here is the uncomfortable truth. Even the most advanced warship on Earth is still a finite machine. Its radar channels are finite. Its missile cells are finite. Its interceptor inventory is finite. Even the human brain inside the combat center is finite. And the United States military has spent decades engineering ways to attack all of those limits simultaneously. The terrifying question is not whether a modern warship can be destroyed. The terrifying question is how long it survives once every layer of defense begins failing at the same time. For decades, naval warfare revolved around concentration of power. Aircraft carriers sat at the center of massive strike groups surrounded by destroyers, cruisers, submarines, and aircraft designed to protect them. One formation, one giant fist. But modern warfare broke that logic apart. Satellites now track ship movements across oceans. Hypersonic weapons reduce reaction windows to seconds. Submarines became quieter than ocean background noise itself. And anti-ship missiles evolved into autonomous hunters capable of finding targets without human control. So the United States adapted. Instead of building one powerful weapon, it turned the entire battlefield into a distributed kill network. Now every platform can attack. Destroyers attack, submarines attack, aircraft attack, Marines on remote islands attack, even unmanned systems attack. And that creates the first nightmare for any opposing navy, because no ship is designed to survive everything happening simultaneously. The first attack usually comes from the one direction radar cannot see, below the surface. Somewhere beneath the ocean, a Virginia-class submarine moves slowly through black water, nearly invisible to sonar. No radar, no visible signature, no warning. Just a 7,800-ton machine carrying enough firepower to split a warship in half. Inside the submarine, torpedo room crews prepare a Mark 48 AD cap heavyweight torpedo. The weapon weighs nearly 1,700 kilograms. It stretches over 5.8 meters long. Open source estimates place its speed above 55 knots. But the most dangerous thing about the Mark 48 is not its speed. It is where it detonates. Most people imagine torpedoes smashing into the side of a ship. That is not how this weapon kills. The Mark 48 dives underneath the hull and detonates below the keel itself. And underwater explosions obey different physics than explosions in air. Water barely compresses. So when the warhead detonates, the shockwave transfers directly into the structure of the ship with almost no energy loss. A massive gas bubble erupts beneath the hull. For one violent moment, thousands of tons of steel are lifted upward. Then the bubble collapses, and suddenly, the middle of the ship has no water supporting it anymore. The bow rises. The stern rises, but the center sags downward under its own weight. The keel snaps, and once the keel breaks, the ship is already dead. No damage control team repairs a broken spine in the middle of the ocean. But submarines have limitations. To launch, they must get close. And getting close means entering anti-submarine warfare zones filled with helicopters, sonar buoys, maritime patrol aircraft, destroyers, and hunter-killer submarines. which means while the enemy is searching underwater, another attack may already be approaching from hundreds of kilometers away, across the horizon. For decades, Tomahawk missiles were mainly land attack weapons. They destroyed bunkers, command centers, airfields. But modern variants changed the game completely. The Maritime Strike Tomahawk transformed into a ship hunter, and it introduced something extremely dangerous into naval warfare: uncertainty after launch. A destroyer may launch the missile from over 800 kilometers away. The enemy ship detects incoming contacts. Radar locks on. Interceptors prepare to fire. Then suddenly the target data changes mid-flight because the missile receives updated targeting information while already airborne. The attack adapts. The direction changes. The ship that prepared for one threat axis suddenly faces another. And here is where things become terrifying for defenders. Every missile interception costs resources. An Arleigh Burke destroyer may carry 96 vertical launch cells. That sounds enormous. Until you realize those same cells hold air defense missiles, ballistic missile interceptors, cruise missiles, and anti-ship weapons simultaneously. Every missile launched offensively is one less defensive missile available later. Every interception reduces survival time. Then comes the next layer, the SM-6, originally designed as an air defense missile, now repurposed into something much worse. The SM-6 can intercept aircraft, cruise missiles, ballistic threats, and destroy ships. It travels above Mach 3.5, over 4,300 kilometers per hour. At those speeds, ships are not truly reacting anymore. They are improvising survival under impossible timelines. Then there are naval strike missiles, smaller, harder to detect, flying barely meters above ocean waves where radar clutter and Earth curvature limit visibility. At low altitude, the ocean itself becomes camouflage, and suddenly, combat centers begin drowning in information, sea-skimming missiles from one direction, high-speed interceptors descending from another, possible submarine activity below, electronic warfare warnings above, every system on the ship demanding priority simultaneously, and then the most dangerous weapon arrives from above the clouds. The LRASM, Long-Range Anti-Ship Missile. An F/A-18 Super Hornet may carry 4 of them beneath its wings. A B-1B bomber can carry 24. Each missile weighs over 1,100 kilograms and carries a warhead capable of crippling major surface combatants. But the truly terrifying part is not the explosive power. It is the approach. The missile cruises quietly at altitude before dropping to just 5 to 10 meters above the ocean during terminal approach. At that altitude, radar detection becomes a physics problem because Earth curves, and radar cannot see through curvature. In some situations, defending warships receive less than 60 seconds of warning before impact. That is not enough time for calm decision-making. It is enough time for panic. Suddenly, combat centers erupt into chaos. Radar operators shout bearings. Close-in weapon systems begin firing thousands of rounds per minute. Electronic warfare systems attempt jamming. Missile interceptors launch vertically into the night sky. And then the situation gets even worse. Because LRASM does not fully depend on external communication. If jamming disrupts the data link, the missile keeps hunting anyway. Its onboard sensors identify ships autonomously using radar emissions, heat signatures, and visual recognition patterns. Even if communications die, the attack continues. And that changes the psychology of naval warfare entirely, because now disabling communications does not guarantee survival anymore. But the final evolution of this strategy may be the strangest one of all. Tiny islands, because modern American naval doctrine turned geography itself into a weapon. The system is called NMESIS, Navy Marine Expeditionary Ship Interdiction System, a remotely operated missile launcher mounted on an unmanned JLTV vehicle, light enough to fit inside a C-130 cargo aircraft, capable of deploying anti-ship missiles onto isolated islands within hours, 2 naval strike missiles per launcher, hidden among rocks, trees, or abandoned terrain, waiting silently beside critical choke points like the Luzon Strait or the Strait of Hormuz, And suddenly, every island becomes suspicious. Every coastline becomes a potential firing position. Every narrow waterway becomes a missile trap. That creates an entirely different kind of pressure. Because fleets cannot avoid geography, ships must pass through choke points. And predictability becomes vulnerability. Even without firing a single missile, hidden launchers force fleets to slow down, reroute, increase radar emissions, deploy aircraft, and burn resources simply because the threat might exist. And this is the true center of modern American naval power, not invincibility, not one miracle weapon. Overload. A torpedo attacks underwater physics. Sea-skimming missiles attack radar limitations. Hypersonic interceptors attack reaction time. Autonomous missiles attack electronic warfare assumptions. Island launchers attack geography itself. Each layer forces a completely different defensive response. And eventually, the system breaks under pressure. Not because one weapon is unstoppable, but because too many threats arrive simultaneously from too many directions at too many speeds. This is why the United States can sink virtually any warship on Earth. Not because it possesses one perfect superweapon, but because it engineered a system designed to locate the exact moment an enemy ship runs out of answers. Submarines attack certainty. Cruise missiles attack prediction. Sea skimmers attack detection physics. Autonomous missiles attack the belief that jamming guarantees safety. Island launchers attack the illusion of secure geography. And somewhere inside that cascading overload, between radar alarms, missile launches, sonar warnings, and collapsing reaction windows, a modern warship stops functioning like a fortress. It becomes exactly what the United States military designed it to become: a system overwhelmed faster than it can survive.